Well, friends, I can now say with full confidence that I had a hand in making the landing spring for the Nova 2 airship. Hello everyone, you are watching the New Generation Airships project once again. We continue to keep you up to date with everything that's going on. And today we have come to the Polymex company, the contractor we brought on board specifically to manufacture part of the landing spring for our Nova 2 airship. Behind me we can currently see the very first stage of making the mold. It is being made from MDF, a material that in its structure closely resembles some kind of compressed paper or cardboard. Right now, the first stage is actively underway, milling and shaping two separate parts. After that, these two parts will be carefully joined together using epoxy adhesive. Once that has fully dried, rough machining will follow. Then the entire part will be completely saturated with epoxy resin in order to give it the necessary strength. By the way, for clarity, I'd like to show you what an unprocessed blank looks like. As a reminder, this is MDF material. As you can see, its structure has a certain fibrous quality to it. It has not yet been treated with epoxy resin. And here is what the part looks like after it has gone through the impregnation and finishing process. It has now acquired all the necessary stiffness and strength characteristics required for molds from which various useful components are produced. In our case, that component is the landing spring. This company manufactures blades, propellers, and a wide variety of other products made from composite materials. So, friends, we are now moving on to the next stage of manufacturing our spring. This is exactly what the finished form block looks like. The very one you just watched us cut on the milling machine moments ago. It is fully ready to go. The mold in which the spring will be oven cured has already been made directly on it. This silicone block is all set and will now be wrapped with composite materials, which have also already been cut. Today we'll give you a more in-depth tour so that you get a clearer understanding of how all of this is put together, how it works, and what the spring manufacturing procedure actually involves. So stay tuned, it's going to be interesting. And is 2,150 the full spring, or is that just one half of it?
Just the half.
So the full length will be 4,300.
4,300, yes.
Just one half.
Plus there will also be brackets mounted here, so the overall total length will come out to 4,500, measured from wheel axle to wheel axle.
Am I right that it runs across the airship, not along it?
Yes, crosswise, right?
Crosswise, with a bend, right?
Well, the bend is slight, about 3 degrees of pre-bend. We originally wanted to make it completely straight, but then we calculated that when the airship is standing on the ground, the spring would flex a little, causing the tires to wear out very quickly. So we had to pre-bend it.
Right, just to keep some parallelism, correct?
Yes, yes.
But won't there be an issue because it comes in parallel on landing, so the load won't be coming from directly above as it should be, but at a slight angle, I mean if it's coming in for a landing like that?
No, that's fine. The airship's landing speeds aren't that high anyway.
Right.
Under a normal landing, vertically, as it should be, if you follow the procedures, yes, the load won't be that significant. Actually, the greater load occurs while parked, because during weather vaning it can deflect quite significantly, and that load needs to be absorbed somehow. If there were only one wheel, it would just keep tipping over constantly, trying to break the wheel, to wrench it off.
First of all, we make a master model. We apply wax to it and then carefully polish it. This is done specifically for pulling the mold off of it, so that the mold releases cleanly and without any issues from the master model. Once all of that procedure is complete, we end up with a mold that looks just like this one. Here it is, and take a look at our mold. It turns out really nice. This here is our composite mold. The procedure is exactly the same as before. When we apply wax, grease it thoroughly all over, let it dry for 15 to 20 minutes, and then we polish it carefully.
So it turns out the mold itself is also made from composite.
Of course, it's made entirely from fabric, just the same as everything else here.
How many pulls will the mold last?
Well, if it's made properly and with care, it can last around 15 to 20 pulls. It all really depends on how well the mold was originally made in the first place, if it's crafted very carefully and properly maintained over time. The most important thing is to make sure there's no sticking, because if you didn't wax the mold well enough in some spot, when you pull it off, you get a small crack here, another one there. Then you have to start repairing the mold. If it keeps needing repairs like that, you'll get fewer pulls out of it. But if you always wax it thoroughly, the pulls will come out clean and the mold will last a very long time. After all of that is done, of course, we then proceed to lay up the actual part itself. All our blanks are already cut. This is our pre-preg fabric. It has already been pre-impregnated with resin. It contains 50% resin content by weight. Naturally, all these pieces are cut to the drawing. The fabric orientations are 45 plus, 45 minus, 0 and 90 degrees. So, for example, take a look. Here we have the drawing. We're looking at the first and second layers right now. Both of them run along the full length of the part. We've laid down the first layer completely. Now, here it is. You can see it goes in one solid, continuous piece from end to end. Here's the top side, here's the bottom side, and here you can see the shorter strips, meaning there's no wrapping involved at all, just straight flat pieces laid down directly. Naturally, the width can vary from one strip to the next, and the length can vary as well. One strip of fabric may end right here at this point, another might run the full length of the entire part, another one ends here, another ends over there, or it runs the full length all the way through. This is a protective film. It gets peeled off before use, and the fabric itself, when it's being laid down onto the silicone block, can also be gently warmed up with a heat gun so that it gains just a little bit of rigidity and holds its shape. Because if you just leave it as is without heating it, it will simply flop around loosely like this. So we warm it up with a heat gun, it takes on its rigidity and stiffens up, and that's all there is to it. We wrap the fabric around this silicone block. Everything goes according to the drawing. Then this silicone block, together with all the fabric layers that have already been carefully applied onto it, is placed into the mold, right into this particular one right here. We place the silicone block with the fabric inside the mold, close it up securely, tighten everything down with bolts all around, and then carry the whole assembly into the oven for curing. This is our oven. This is where all the parts are cured. Parts can be processed here using either the contact layup method or the infusion method. The next day, once it has cooled down, we disassemble the mold. We took the mold apart and pulled out this silicone piece here. We pulled out the silicone. We carefully inspected the entire finished part for any defects to make sure there were none present. Then we sanded it down to a smooth finish, and that's it. The part is fully ready. This entire technology we use here can also be applied to helicopters, fixed-wing aircraft, and airships. Why do we use pre-preg? It is much lighter, because it already comes pre-impregnated with 50% resin. Infusion, by comparison, results in a significantly heavier part, and contact layup will result in an under-impregnated part. Pre-preg is simply the most ideal option for us. Yes, it costs more, but the result is stronger and more reliable. That's how we apply it across the board. And it's not limited to aviation. It can be used with fiberglass fabric in virtually any application. It all depends on what molds you have, what parts you need, and where they will be used.
Right here in this area, it reads at 0 degrees. At 0? Yes, at 0. 100.
Minus 100th?
10 hundredths of a millimeter. Yeah, right here too. Will it even go together with these negative tolerances? It'll all fit together just fine. I was simply planning to machine the bracket at plus 0.2 and plus 0.4 tolerance. Overall, when you add it all up, I'm confident it'll go on without any issues. I wanted the bushings to stick out just a little bit, so that we'd be clamping down on the bushings and not on the spring leaf itself. because if we over tighten the spring leaf, it could crack or something like that. We'll be making steel bushings there. Got it. Here's one option. We could make a wooden block. I suggested it, and they said, "What wooden block?" I said, "Let's just glue a block inside, then drill into it and add some extra bushings there too." They said, "No need for that." Well, look, I came by and checked it out. Overall, everything looks fine. Some dimensions are off, but nothing critical. No cracking or anything like that, but there are a few bubbles. I'm not sure how critical that really is. Will you actually be able to install the bracket onto it? Yes, absolutely, I will be able to, no problem at all. All right, good. So the bubbles were what worried me the most. Ask if they can fill them in with epoxy resin. I'll ask right now, okay. The spring turned out really well overall. In terms of all the key parameters, it generally checks out and meets the requirements. The main thing is that it didn't come out thinner in any spots. Slight overages in thickness, that's not critical. The dimensions are well maintained. I can't measure the mass here. I don't know. If Oleg gives me a scale, we'll measure it. But I think we can do that back at our workshop. And again, the mass figure I provided was approximate, so it may not match exactly. That's also not critical. Its strength and whether our calculations were correct, how much it will actually flex. Because it needs to absorb a portion of the load through its deflection during some kind of hard landing, while at the same time not being permanently deformed, meaning it should stay well within the elastic deformation range without cracking or breaking apart. In other words, that is precisely what it's designed and needed for. And also so that when we are moored, it takes on part of that load in order to keep the aircraft from tipping over and tearing out our mooring node. So we will need to put it through testing, but it already looks really great and quite impressive. We'll see how it actually performs once we get to the tests. After the testing, we'll be ordering a new spring. This is just a test sample. It's only 1/2 of the spring. Once it passes testing and we're satisfied with everything, we'll go ahead and manufacture the spring for the Nova 2, specifically for the Nova 2E in this case. But this spring can also fit all aircraft in the Nova 2 family. It will work for everyone without any modifications. During testing, we'll start by verifying that the spring fully matches the technical drawing once again. We'll weigh it carefully, then inspect it much more thoroughly and in greater detail, checking whether there are any defects, damage, or other issues present. After that, we'll mount it on the test bench, which is currently being developed. Then we'll gradually apply load to the spring while closely observing how it bends, so that we can later plot the relationship between its deflection and the applied load. So we'll be building graphs and then evaluating whether it meets our requirements or not. We may need to add more layers in certain areas, and we'll load it all the way to complete failure to see whether it can handle the load levels we actually need.